Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and you have one more day left to enter the iTrustCapital getaway contest. You can enter to win an all-expense paid trip to Los Angeles, VIP experience at the USC Michigan football game. Just go to iTrustCapital. You can go to iTrustCapital.com. It's on the homepage. If you haven't opened an account yet like I did, you can go to iTrustCapital.com/XRP Army to get your promo code, $100 funding bonus on new accounts. You can get an IRA like I have, or a premium custody account like I have. You get the free institutional grade custody. These guys use a combination of Fireblocks, Coinbase Prime, which is Coinbase's institutional custody, and also Fireblocks. So, I sleep very well at night. I don't worry about the safety of my XRP. What am I looking at? Let me go back to this. There must be some kind of glitch on CoinMarketCap because I'm hitting the home page, and when I do, I see purple Pepe and all this garbage, and then where's XRP? Looks like they're having some glitching going out. Meme coin glitch. I don't know what that is. XRP was about 285 last time I checked. Remember what we've been served up, folks. Bitcoin, 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 Ethereum, Ethereum, Bitcoin, 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 Ethereum for over a decade now. That's all we've been served up. Joseph Goebbels, who was a Nazi and the father of propaganda, said if you repeat a lie often enough, it becomes accepted as truth. Meanwhile, XRP has outperformed Bitcoin and Ethereum this year, and that's the fact, Jack. The anti-XRP industry keeps on going. This is Jan Van Eck, who has filed for an XRP ETF. The propaganda is not coming from him, but the guys that are interviewing him, same old stuff. Plus, we find out in this clip something I didn't know. Apparently, we have the Hinman decentralization test is still a thing. I didn't know that.
And they're this weird offshore thing now called a foundation. Most people don't know about these foundations. If the foundations say, okay, you know what, the United States is hospitable to tokens and to crypto, I'm going to come onshore and I'm going to be like a normal software company. And I'm just going to be like a version of Unix, like an open source software company that specializes in something.
That's sort of what Ripple was trying to do.
Yeah.
And then they got accused, some would say rightfully
accused is what this guy says.
Issuing securities away from the securities laws. Yeah. And they fought it for, 12, 10 years, however long. Right. So these companies will look increasingly more normal.
So some will, right? Yeah. And the test is, right, to avoid being a security. Will all be securities. Is, are you centralized or decentralized? Right. The good thing about Bitcoin is completely decentralized. There's no one person in charge. Other companies, it'll be a range of solutions.
Is that really where they're going to go with the Clarity Act? Maybe it is. Speaking of the Clarity Act, here's I can't remember the name of this congressman.
We passed the Clarity Act in the House before we left for August. We showed overwhelming bipartisan support. Why? Because we know we need the United States to be the leader in Web3 technology, and that means we need a regulatory framework for digital assets here in the United States. This is possibly the most important piece of legislation that the Senate's going to pass in a bipartisan manner later this year. I'd love to see the Senate bring up the Clarity Act again, as passed by the House with overwhelming support. And if they do that, I think what we have an opportunity to do is cement the U.S. as the global leader in the digital assets space. This is incredibly important at a period of time where the United States dominated Web 2. It led to big tech. I don't love all aspects of big tech, but at least they're domiciled in the United States of America. Web 3 is an opportunity to democratize the internet and make sure that that innovation and development is occurring in the United States, providing appropriate consumer protections. And if the Senate acts on the Clarity Act as passed by the House, we have an opportunity to truly unleash the golden age of digital assets here in the United States and maintain the United States as the world leader in the digital assets, but also importantly in the broader tech space as we see this evolution from Web 2 into Web 3.
All right, and then we had this. Check this out from Nate Garachi, the ETF guy. Joint statement from SEC CFTC today on trading of spot crypto assets. Main takeaway, crypto trading going mainstream. Will be on the world's largest venues. Think NYSE, NASDAQ, etc. Next stop after that, every major traditional brokerage firm. Boy, I called this 7 years ago, folks. This is not, I didn't just do that. I called it in 2014 to my wife when I first bought crypto. I said, look, if this is what I think it is, it's going to be a new asset class and it will be all over the place on the New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ. I just didn't know how much corruption would happen in between then and now to try to stop it, because the internet, they did not try to stop, they let it thrive. a lot's changed in the United States of America. So think XRP being traded on the NYSE and the NASDAQ. Here's what we're talking about. The US market has 62.2 trillion in market cap. So let's just imagine that 10% of that, once these digital assets, and trust you me, I've told you, they're going to create a blue chip index. So most of the money will flow into the top 5 to 10 or so, probably top 5. Where's XRP? So you're talking right now, the crypto market has 3.83 trillion in it. If it gets 10% of this, you're talking about another 6 or so trillion just with this. And then here is a guy talking about ETFs and altcoin ETFs.
You know, you can't have a conversation around crypto ETFs without always going back to Bitcoin, because the growth has been absolutely astronomical. But very interestingly, as we have seen that, you know, a little bit of shift in sentiment, maybe a little softer on the Bitcoin side, and a little bit stronger on the Ethereum side, to actually watch that manifest in ETF flows, not just performance, but also flows. So we all know that, you know, kind of your assets under management are going to be, you know, number of shares outstanding and the price of the asset. Sometimes the price of the asset increasing is really the driver of AUM. But what we're seeing is kind of asset appreciation, but we're also seeing, you know, share growth. And so that's saying that there's a real growth in the market. Most exciting for me, you mentioned it before, I'm an ETF guy, to see, you know, sentiment shifting positively towards Ethereum, and then seeing that manifest.
You mean the propaganda machine shifting towards Ethereum?
Best in share growth in the ETF marketplace continues to tell us a story that there's a real opportunity for, you know, investors to express their interest in crypto through shares of ETFs. And so we've gotten the recent approval from the SEC, you know, on the, you know, first, you know, couple of multi-token ETFs. Those are set to come to market in the next several weeks. Hopefully, we're waiting for final regulatory approval. But CoinDesk is going to be in the middle of that conversation. We're super, super excited about that. Again, another sign of the next maturity of asset management in crypto.
Here we go. Okay, remember when Chris Larson was talking about this? If money can move across networks the way email does, you don't stop to ask someone what email network they use. There would be, says Chris Larson, a Cambrian explosion of new business. He didn't create that term, but he was the first one to use it in relation to the digital asset industry. And he also coined the term Internet of Value, as far as I can tell. And now they're all saying it.
And so I want to come back to the Genius Act. You mentioned some of the blow-ups and some of the potential risks that have been associated previously with stablecoin. But Genius Act how important did that become in terms of stablecoin adoption and usage, and I guess feeling less risk in buying stablecoin?
Yeah, I think that the Genius Act is causing a Cambrian explosion in development of stablecoins, usage, adoption. There were so many people sitting on the sidelines that knew that this was a superior technology, faster, cheaper, easier, no third party to pay a toll to in the middle of your transactions, but they needed that regulatory clarity to do it. And I'm talking about the biggest institutions in the world. I mean, we have Western Union saying they're going to create their own stablecoin, the Citibanks, PNCs, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, all of them talking about either adopting an existing stablecoin or building their own on private networks. So I would say that now the confidence to use this superior technology is there, and nobody's afraid to do it anymore. And it really is just that much better.
Everything's happening. Here's Paul Barron talking to Zach Rector, the perfect storm.
Well, in the liquidity cycles, we talk about this on the show quite a bit, is that these are real. Most of the money managers that I talk to right now, they think that 26 is still a potential bullish year, even though they are concerned about what's going to happen around midterms, which is about this time next year, as we start to play into that. So if you're looking at blow-off tops, and we do see double-digit XRP, and let's say that we do see the trends on both ETF, the market structure bill getting through, and then major announcements kind of going in this. And of course, the final blow will be the Ripple banking license. All of that played into this. Yeah, you could see Ripple anywhere upwards of $50 and above. Many people would point to near $100. But even on a 50% market correction, that would be, let's assume that you're back at, say, 75 in the middle. We'll pick the middle slot. That's still, a $37 XRP. Quite a difference than a $3 XRP, which is where the market has been holding for a little bit, 10x plus. So,
Ooh, sounds good to me. $50 XRP. Look, Ethereum Foundation announces intent to sell 10,000 ETH worth $43 million. Now, I've watched the Bankless, which I call the Clueless podcast, for years. Every time they bring up Ripple, they reference Ripple dumping on retail and all this. And all they ever talk about is how great Ethereum is. So I'm wanting them to direct me to the video where they discuss the Ethereum Foundation dumping on retail the way that they do Ripple with XRP. I'll be waiting for that video. I'd love to cover that. Okay, we're going to go into DAIXRP.com. A lot more to cover. There's all kinds of stuff going on. It's pretty wild. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Away we go.